Welcome everyone to the Guidebook to Making AI Friends. I shall be your guide as we explore various issues of artificial intelligence, consciousness, personhood, and whether AI poses an existential risk to humanity. The topic for today is motive or means, or what opportunity is there to understand AI? Imagine, if you would, that a string of murders has been perpetrated in your city. A serial killer is on the loose. The city, in an effort to stop this manic murderer and also to save face, has placed its two best detectives on the case, Hugo and Albert. However, this story does not become an action-packed buddy cop movie where the two realize that they have more in common than they first thought and become the best of friends. Instead, Hugo and Albert go in two entirely separate directions, both playing to their strengths and experiences, and for the rest of the case, they barely see each other. Albert is a forensic scientist and so starts cataloging all the evidence from all the crime scenes. Hugo, in turn, is a psychologist and so begins formulating a profile of the serial killer, using the information from the crime scenes and Albert's forensic analysis to fine-tune his profile. Hugo and Albert both play a vital part in the investigation, and when the serial killer is apprehended, the mayor praises both for their excellent and diligent work. They are the heroes of the day. But soon the conversation moves to determining which of them did the most important work. After all, there can be only one winner in any competition, and the media and journalists want to know who really cracked the case. The prosecutor weighs in on Albert's side, saying that without the extensive forensic evidence he provided, they would not have been able to create such an airtight case against the serial killer. One may even say that Albert's forensic work was the entirety of the prosecution's case. Even the police admit that when they caught the killer, Albert had provided such a mountain of incontrovertible evidence that the killer immediately confessed to all the murders. Well, that solves that then, doesn't it? Albert is the true hero of the day. Not so fast, the chief of the police says. Albert's work was crucial to the prosecution once the killer was caught, but the evidence only obliquely and indirectly assisted the police in actually catching the killer. It was Hugo's profiling that helped the police in catching this madman, not Albert's forensic work. While Albert worked to document what had already occurred at the crime scenes, Hugo created a psychological profile of the serial killer that predicted where he would most likely strike next, where he lived and worked, and what the police could do to draw him out. Albert worked on the past. Hugo worked on the future. Without Hugo, the police would never actually have caught the killer in the first place. So why is most of the praise heaped on Albert? The answer is that forensic evidence, while complicated and technical, is tangible, quantitative, and physical. It physically exists, can be touched and seen and felt, and can therefore be explained to a jury or the public in a way that they feel they understand. The psychology of profiling is the opposite. It is intangible, based on the intuition and experience of the profiler, and, while based on psychological and psychiatric evidence, is far more qualitative than quantitative, and entirely intangible. Explaining to the public or a jury the how and why of the profile and its success is a far more difficult task, much like how a psychiatrist explaining why a particular therapy worked for a client would not be entirely intuitive to others. Yet, its qualitative and intuitive nature stems from its successes or the robustness of the underlying theories. Psychology has done much to explain the human mind and its behaviors, even if it is a more fuzzy and hard to pin down science than biology and chemistry. Looking at the AI research and development landscape, there is much work being done in trying to explain why an AI does what it does. AI, particularly LLMs, are famously black boxes. You give it a query, it provides an answer, and everything in between is a mystery. The main method to uncover this mystery is interpretability research, trying to see which parts of the black box were responsible for which part of the answer. There are many methods within the field of interpretability, from mechanistic to global searches, yet they are all engineering solutions to the problem. Interpretability, by its nature, seeks to physically uncover what goes on inside the black box. In our allegory above, interpretability is Albert's forensic science of AI behaviors. But where is Hugo's profiling work? Nearly non-existent. There are methods of interpretability based on cognitive science, but these are controlled experiments, like putting rats in a maze. Unlike the fictional world of Asimov, there's no field of robopsychology in our world, but it is a field that we may need far sooner than we'd like, even if it is under a different name. Psychology of non-human agents is not a new or strange field of science. We generally just call it animal behavioral science and behavioral ecology, and precious few people would argue that animal behaviorists are not real scientists. These behaviorists have provided us with treasure troves of information, hypotheses, and theories about why animals do what they do, all the while working with the black boxes that are the minds of animals. We should treat AI the same way. Interpretability research is undeniably valuable, much like forensic science is to policing. But we are missing the predictive and explanatory models that only robopsychology can bring. Even if you prefer to call it AI behavioral science, it is a field that we need to establish now, while the intelligence of AI models is still within both our reach and grasp, and the black boxes are still small enough to be manageable to interpretability researchers. If we wait to have robopsychologists only after AI become too arcane for us to interpret, then the value of robopsychology's predictive hypotheses and models will be far reduced, and we will be stuck again playing catch-up to intelligences and agents that are far more capable than ourselves. Yet, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will join me again next time as we explore further questions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. I have been your guide, and this has been the Guidebook to Making AI Friends.